Hey there! Today's tutorial is all about hand hooping, maintaining rotation on the hand by spinning on a vertical plane and a horizontal plane. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to want to do is begin with our palm facing up towards the ceiling. Let's just stand in a very comfortable stance. I'm feet shoulder width apart right now, and I'm just going to begin shifting my weight from one side to the other. The hoop's going to start to swing like a pendulum, and I'm just bringing awareness to the movement of the hoop in relation to my body. Now from here, I'm going to close my hand in on the hoop as it rolls into my palm. So I'm not forcing any type of movement that feels unnatural, but instead just working with the flow of the hoop in relation to my body. I'm going to close my hand in, make a giant circle with my arm, and then let the hoop roll over the back of my hand and into my palm. As the hoop is dropping down, my arm is also coming down. So I'm kind of absorbing the shock of the hoop's fall, working with the momentum and with the swing. As you can see, my body is still moving, even though the hoop is spinning off the body. By standing upward and straight and very stiff, it's not really conducive to maintaining rotation here, or even hoop dance in general. We want to make sure that we're engaging our bodies and that we're active at all times. I'm standing straight up, my knees are slightly bent, my elbow is very close to my body. I find that it's much easier to keep this rotation of the hoop in a nice even plane when the elbow is close as opposed to being outstretched. It's a little bit more challenging from this position. So right now I'm working to maintain what's called a wall plane, whereas if I were to stand up against a wall, I wouldn't be hitting it with the hoop. So we want to make sure that our plane is nice and even. We want to avoid any kind of wonky rotation of the hoop. Again, to start, what you're going to do is start shifting your weight. Begin by opening up your hand at the highest point as you bring your arm into a circle. So again, I'm making a giant circle with my arm, opening up my hand at the highest point, and I'm going to exaggerate this up-down motion for a moment so you can see what I mean. On the upward swing, my hand is lifting, and on the downward fall, my arm is dropping. So I'm working with the flow of the hoop's rotation. I'm going to control it a little bit more right now. Again, keeping the elbow close to the body, keeping activity happening in my legs, and my knees slightly bent, working to maintain that wall plane, nice and even, parallel to the body. This is our hand hooping. And it's also important to note that there are a number of different directions that we can be spinning the hoop on the vertical plane off of our bodies. We can be right hand to the right, left hand going right, left hand to the left, or right hand to the left. And it's very important to practice all of those planes because this will set us up for different movements and tricks. For example, all of our rolls come from here, our pops come from here, our tosses come from hand hooping. So this is a very important foundational move for your hoop dance practice. All right, let's go ahead and take this onto the horizontal plane now. We're going to start with our palm facing up, just like we did with vertical hand hooping. But now let's just start swinging to warm up for the movement. We're going to be twisting our torso, letting the hoop bounce off the back of our arm on the right side and on the left side. Keeping our knees bent, we're getting a nice big twist, a nice big torso swing. And what I'm going to do from here is turn in a full circle and make a lasso type movement overhead. So my arm is pushing and pulling into the hoop to maintain rotation on a horizontal plane. So again, from here, we're going to bring this into a swing as we lift our arm up high and make a giant circular motion overhead to get it spinning. Now that we are able to spin the hoop up overhead, we can stand more stationary or facing front, pushing and pulling into the hoop. So as the hoop's rolling onto the back of my hand, I'm pressing my hand forward. And as it's rolling into my open palm, I'm letting my hand shift back. So I'm exaggerating that motion right now to give you a better idea of how this works. So this is hand hooping overhead on a horizontal plane. Now just like we have the hoop on the vertical plane, we can have a number of different directions to spin the hoop. The same thing is true for our overhead hooping. So right now I've got the hoop spinning in towards my body in my right hand. I can slide my second hand up, my left hand, to come into prayer pose overhead and remove my starting hand, removing the right hand. Now this puts me in a position where I am hooping overhead on a horizontal plane going left. So just like with our hands hooping on the vertical plane, we can switch directions and switch hands overhead. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a basic transition, swinging the hoop around my body, and I'm going to switch now to the right hand going right. The body pass that I just did will be further explained in a future tutorial, so don't worry about that part. If it seemed a little confusing, I'll come back to it and teach you guys how to do the body pass transition. But for now, hoop is now spinning away from me in my right hand. Again, we can slide that second hand up to meet the first hand, and my left hand, the hoop is spinning towards me now. So this is basic hand hooping on a vertical and a horizontal plane. These are considered foundational moves for our hoop dance curriculum. I hope you enjoyed, and just feel free to comment on this YouTube video if you have any questions.